yeah, man. Famous cartoonist Art Balthazar, as you see. Abraham Lincoln is with me, and we are watching, and you are watching. Famous cartoonists draw at night. They draw at night, by night. We're all here together, man. Buy their comics, buy my comics, shop.
Hello, boils and ghouls. I'm your host, Anthony Laatsch. I am joined here with Matt Rodgers, D. Brad Gibson, Tunes by Troy. And on this very special episode of Cartoonist by Night, we are welcoming a writer, an artist, and a nerd, Nick Aureliani. How's it going, Nick?
Hey, can't complain, can't complain. Thank you. Yeah, not half bad, not half bad. Down to get spooky today.
There we go.
Apparently that's the subject matter.
That is a great little tease. So if people turned on Cartoonist by Night and they went to go to the fridge and get their snacks or go refresh their drinks and grab their drawing supplies, they may have missed the title of this episode. So Nick, when we asked you onto the show, what was your topic of choice?
Horror comics, I did, because I've come out with a few spooky adjacent things so far, including LXT, which is you're battling against demons in a card game. Scenario writer for that, alongside Franco, pretty cool guy. That guy is also Zombie Cat as well. Both of those are out now. Check them out. And also super fun altogether. That one's not as spooky, but still pretty legit read, if I do say so myself. No bias.
Well, I think I'm gonna enjoy hanging out with you because you're doing all my homework for me. I have all this stuff sitting here, so yeah, you know how to run a podcast interview here. So perfect. All right, so we're gonna talk about horror comics. We're gonna talk about Nick's creative career. We're gonna go around and have a bunch of fun on this very spooky episode of Cartoonist by Night. So, with the topic being horror comics, we're going to go around here and kind of see what we're all going to be working on. We'll start with our guest here, Nick, if you want to hit up your share screen, if you have a little preview. But
yeah.
let us know what you're going to be working on during this episode.
Yeah. Give me 1 second to go ahead and share that with you guys.
We are holding on here. This one's going to be good. I have a lot of fun show and tell here as well. Okay.
Indeed. And essentially, yeah, going to be drawing here. It's lagging. And essentially, yeah, I am drawing Kitty Goshima from Uzumaki, a really great horror manga. If you're into that, Juji Ito is an absolute legend, probably one of my favorite writers and artists, or mangakas for that matter. Really recommend this stuff. And Uzumaki is a good jumping off point because there's an anime that's coming out of that soon, and it actually looks good. Rare that adaptations of manga look good, so...
What's the premise of it?
So essentially, it's kind of like a cosmic horror, body horror type of thing, where everything just keeps spiraling, and people turn into spirals, things turn into spirals, everything is just going insane. It kind of like, I don't know if I'd be spoiling it too much, but it's kind of like a metaphor for going crazy and stuff. Also recommend his other works, Kamei Gyo, great stuff.
Very cool. Cool. So yeah, so that is what he is going to be working on. We'll check in throughout the episode on his drawing, but we're going to cut over to Matt Rodgers. What are you specifically going to be drawing tonight?
I don't really know. Right now, I got this Jason portrait.
Whoa.
We're gonna see how it goes. I like it, but I might end up hating it and drawing something else.
Well, whether you hate it or like it, remember to save it so I don't have to grab a bad screen grab later in post production.
That's a good point. I will do my best.
Very cool. Let's jump over to D. Brad. Are you going to be drawing some realistically drawn googly eyes there? What are you doing?
I might work these in to my drawings, yeah. But I thought when I was a kid, one of the one of my favorite things to draw was classic monsters from and it would be kind of like a who's who book. And so one page would be Count Dracula, next page would be the Frankenstein monster, and the next mummy, and so on. As many as I could think of, each page would be one of those characters, and so I thought I would like try to do that.
Very cool.
Oh,
Excellent.
legit.
Now, Troy, I've given you some time here for formulate an answer. I know how the show works, but we'll see if you have something here. Troy, what do you have in mind for tonight's episode?
Why don't you go first, Anthony? I got a bunch of them that I'm thinking about. I just not sure what I really want to draw just yet.
Fair enough. So what I am going to do here, I'll be talking about this a little more, but my topic is going to be how much I love the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina comic. I have a
Ooh.
different setup here on my lap to try to keep everything a little more easy for me to watch the screens and stuff as we go. So I'll get the angles correct here. But Chilling Adventures of Sabrina with Roberto Aguirre Sacasa and the artist Robert Hack. Now, I mentioned the artist here because he is really the drive for what I love about this series. And I do own some original Robert Hack Sabrina art. And what's
Whoa.
really cool about this
Yeah.
is that if I am baking some cookies and I run out of a cookie sheet, I can just take this original art because it's done on this kind of waxy type transparent
Parchment.
paper. And yeah, it was sent with this backing board here. But yeah, it's kind of a real cool thing. And I think this was just a bunch of like test work for his book and sketches and stuff like that. It's not from, I don't think there's anything taken from the exact panels or anything, but just some practice work. But yeah, so I'll talk more about Chilling Adventures Sabrina later. But my topic here, I have a sketch card that is penciled out. So I am going to be drawing a Sabrina, which is going to be half face of Sabrina Spellman, and the other half will be a skull version of Sabrina. So a
Whoa,
little,
skeleton jump scare.
yeah, little two-faced action there. But so yeah, Sabrina Spellman is going to be my topic of choice here. I would cut to Troy, but he's done a disappearing magic act, and I do not. Oh, there he is.
I'm here. You
Whoa.
inspired me. I got my topic.
Yay!
I'm gonna go along with the Archie horror as well.
Ooh,
Jughead the Hunger. Hang on,
That run.
as if you can see him. I think this is the only cover that actually has a full view of the werewolf. So I'm gonna do much friendlier looking Jughead, where Jug Wolf, Wolf Jug.
very cool.
Wolf Jug.
All right. So that will be our setup there. Throughout this episode, we'll be drawing and checking in with everybody and talking about horror comics. And because Nick, our guest here, has mentioned a couple of these things, as we draw along, can you give us a little pitch about LXT, which is the recent funded online campaign here? So yeah, let our audience know, what is LXT?
So essentially, LXT is a trading card game where you get to battle against demons and escape the afterlife. So it was a collaboration between Franco and Jason, who constructed the game itself. Very masterfully done in terms of mechanics. I've always been like an admirer of card games and gaming in general. So he really figured it out. And I submitted the lore. Franco did a lot of the artwork in it. Some even contributed to the artwork, which is really cool. You'll see that in the Dark Atlas book, which adds a lot of lore and to the world as a whole, which is really legit stuff, pretty much. Love like the vibes that came with it. Love the vibes that every one of the artists gave it, and just the vibe that the whole entire game creates. Did I have a part in creating that? I mean, yeah, but in terms of you guys playing it or trying it out or even reading the stories associated with it, you're gonna have yourself a pretty good time.
Very cool. Yeah, this was it was a unique project, which is kind of a collaboration of making it a card game, a tabletop game, making it a comic, like having prose in there. It was really a unique project that just kind of had everything that you can imagine thrown into its own unique creation. So
Yeah, if you turn to the back of one of those, I think it's the Who's Who. I don't. Maybe it is. I think there's this picture's in there.
oh yeah, it's in one of the I came across it. So yeah, D. Brad,
The frenzy, yeah.
if you want to talk about what original art you're holding there from
Yeah,
Alex.
yeah. This is original hand drawn, of course. I saw Franco draw it on a live show, and then he offered it for a prize, a draw, and so I entered it and I won it. And it
Nice.
came along with all the cards and the comics, and I also got your other comic, super fun all together in
Yeah,
that
man.
that package, and got the books and all that. Yeah, yes, I really love it.
Heck yeah, man. Happy you did.
And for those who weren't part of the online campaign at all, is there still a way of getting this, or was it very exclusive to that campaign?
Um,
Know if there's anything that's available out there at all?
oh geez, that is a good question.
Ooh, thank you. I
I
have
wanna
the hard hitting ones here.
Good thing you do. There probably give me 1 second here. I just looked this up really quick. You probably cut me out searching for it if you want, but
Well, in the meantime,
yeah.
yeah, so we have this show because of All Yeah Comics, and all of us met through the All Yeah Comics fandom. We have some Zombie Cat that I'm going to highlight later in the show, but before we get to that, I was kind of wondering too that did you have some contributions in All Yeah Comics proper outside of the Zombie Cat, some short stories and such?
Yeah, that was some of my first writing work I did. With the mainline All Yeah comics. I did Zombie Cat's first appearance. Geez,
Ooh.
almost 10 years ago. If you can believe that, maybe over 10 years ago.
Oh yeah,
Did
yeah.
first appearance of Zombie Cat before I really knew what I wanted to do in terms of writing, or at least just what I wanted to do in general. I don't know. I was like a kid when that first came out. So, there's that. I did Unicornia, the resident kaiju of the All Yeah Comics verse, and I also did a story in 13 involving Mark Waid, the lobster, not to be confused with the writer, who does draw a very good Flash.
Yeah.
So there is that as well.
Very cool.
Maybe I could contribute more. Who knows?
Well, we'll have to stay tuned for sure.
Mhm.
As we go around, let's switch over to the topic of horror comics. And Nick, if you want to kick us off, just kind of talking about if you have some favorite horror comics or what draws you to horror comics in general.
Uh, what draws me to it is, I don't know. I kind of grew up in a generation where all the cartoons I watched were really weird. Like weird. Like yeah, I had SpongeBob that was coming out when I was a kid, and SpongeBob was the biggest one, honestly. But there's a lot of stuff on Cartoon Network, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Invader Zim, which is on Nickelodeon as well. Courage the Cowardly Dog. Those are like a lot of like the spooky ones because one of them was literally group of kids befriended the Grim Reaper. That was Billy and Mandy. Invader Zim was just weird considering that that was a kid show and the work he did before that was a comic book called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Oh
So when I found that out as a kid, I was just like, oh wow, that's really weird, but also that makes a ton of sense, you know? So I don't know if that were things that a 5-year-old should have been watching, but hey, it was on Nickelodeon, so of course I watched it,
yeah, yeah.
or Cartoon Network as well.
Yeah, I have a history of watching a lot of horror movies around that age. Things like watching like Pet Cemetery and Child's Play and stuff like that.
Oh
So
yeah.
while I love things like the Muppets and Sesame Street, I also say I'm like, oh, I was also watching these horror movies that maybe thickened my skin as a young boy, but yeah.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
Now, Matt Rodgers, what's your relationship with horror comics and horror genre stuff?
Horror comics, not a whole lot. I have some of the new EC books that they've been putting out. I think Dark Horse is publishing those, like the collected editions.
Oh boy.
We got. Oh, I can hit a button. Ready? Watch this. There we
Hey.
go. We got The Haunt of Fear from the EC archives.
Whoa, nice.
And
Those
then
are the like reprints of the old ones, or you said it was new?
yeah, they're reprints.
Yeah,
They got Vault of Horror.
perfect.
I also
Yeah.
have one that's science fiction, the Weird Science book. But yeah, they have like a bunch of different ones. The only thing I don't like about these is they've gone in and they've recolored everything.
Oh, okay.
So it all
Uh-huh.
looks like way too clean and fancy.
Okay, I see.
So
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a okay. But yeah, that's most of my horror comics. But other than that, I'm like really like slasher movies and really like anything that makes me feel really messed up after I watch it.
Uncomfortable.
Always, man.
Like Hereditary is really good. And
Okay.
then,
I've heard great things about that movie. I haven't
It's
watched
so-
it quite yet.
yeah, that one's good. Midsummer, that one.
Yeah.
Psychological horror. I see. All right.
Yeah, that one, like we turned the lights on after the movie, and me and my wife were just like, "What the hell did we just watch? Oh my God!" And then like Alien, all the good stuff.
Excellent. D.
Oh,
Brad,
sure. Yeah.
D.
Yeah.
Brad, your relationship with horror and horror comics and everything?
Well, my relationship with horror, uh, probably the scariest thing. Like I grew up in a time where toys looked horrifying and scary. Even homemade Spider-Man dolls.
That is a
Whoa.
that is a callback to a previous episode of Cartoonist by Night. Just go back into the archive to find out the origin story of that horrific thing.
Yeah, I think I remember, but like I remember like being scared for maybe some Halloween episodes of Little House on the Prairie, uh, and uh, and but mostly the monster stuff. They made them like really friendly for kids. Like the Dracula wasn't scary. He was like pretty kid friendly. I remember a cartoon called Drac Pack. It had all the Dracula as a teenager and Wolfman and the Frankenstein monster. So they weren't really that scary. So I don't think I got into horror much when I was a kid, but when I was a teenager, I started watching like in videos, renting videos like Friday 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street series and Reanimator and
Oh yeah,
all those movies.
Reanimator's awesome.
Classic, man.
And then for comics, yeah, all the monster stuff are pretty cutesy and fun, but I just love reading them and making up and drawing my own versions of them. There's even a kid show when I grew up. I mentioned before called in Canada here called the House of Frightenstein, Hilarious House of Frightenstein, that was hosted by Vincent Price.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. But now the horror comic reprint, I guess it's not really horror, but it's more funny, like like Addams Family and the Munsters type of thing.
Yeah.
It was called Melvin Monster, and it has 3 volumes in hardcover from Drawn and Quarterly, but they did make a soft cover printing of all 3 that you can get now. And you'll like this, Matt. It's reprinted, but it's actually still looks like newsprint,
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
original colors. And it's written and drawn by John Stanley, who is hilarious, and it's really funny. It made me laugh out loud. And he did. He's more well known for doing the comics of Little Lulu, which are a lot funnier than I thought they could ever be. And so Melvin Monster, check that out. You gotta check that out.
Little Lulu is my mother-in-law's favorite, and she will never see this, but will say hi, Abuela anyway.
Okay,
Hi,
yeah.
Abuela. Little Lulu's
Hey.
good.
But and I do collect Walking Dead. And I mentioned before how that horrified me, that when the death scene with one of my favorite characters. So I put post-it notes on those pages because I couldn't look at them anymore. And then I do have one horror comic that I got recently, that I've mentioned before too, by a fellow Canadian, Jay Stevens, Dwellings.
Oh yeah.
Just got picked up by Fantagraphics.
Yeah. No, what?
Yeah, I think that's the one that Fantagraphics is doing a collected version of Dwellings. I thought. I might be
No.
wrong.
No. It's already out. It's from Oni Press.
Oni Press. That's who I meant. Not Fantagraphics. Bleep that, future Anthony. I'm not stupid.
And I still have not read it. I'm still too scared to read it.
Check out our last episode with Winston Gambler. He designed that collection.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But
I forgot to mention my wife got me a present.
oh yeah.
I got the Elvira Chia pet.
What the no?
Can't wait to see how it turns out.
I haven't opened it, and it's probably just gonna sit on my shelf.
Oh yeah. That's hilarious.
Jump over to Troy as we see some Jughead werewolf in progress there. What's your interest in horror comics and such?
I'm not sure I have much of one. I kind of, aside from superheroes, mostly like parody stuff, like Mad Magazine, things like that. But there is a lot of connection between the early Mad guys, like Jack Davis.
Mhm.
He also worked on like Creepy and things like that. And I want to say he did like the first cover of Creepy comics.
Yeah.
Had like Uncle Creepy reading a storybook to a bunch of ghouls and goblins. I might be misremembering that.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's some overlap with my interest in stupid stuff and creepy stuff.
Let's see here. So, as I mentioned with my topic here, if we're talking about some modern horror stuff, now this had come out a little while ago, but it's still, post 2000s. But the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, kicking it off with Afterlife with Archie, when Archie launched their horror line with Roberto Aguirre Sacasa and Francesco Francavilla, and then Robert Hack. And they did an awesome run with Afterlife with Archie, as well as Chilling Adventures. And then the show Riverdale happened, which I love, by the way, but that
Mhm.
the pause on all of these horror comics. And since then, Archie Comics has been concentrating more so on one shots, and now they've been kind of flirting with some 3-issue miniseries, but they do a lot of Chilling Sorcery and Madam Satan, and they've got Salem Comics, and there's like Betty the Lost Girl. They have just a lot of awesome stuff. They also did Vampironica, Jughead the Hunger, all of that fun stuff over at Archie Comics. So, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is one thing that I bought in single issues as it was coming out. I got the first issue here, and I just love the picture of the house here. But you'll have to watch when I open this up, because the cover has a little picture window here to the
Fun. Ooh.
skull
Whoa.
cover. So that was just like a cool little gimmick right off the bat with the first issue. Netflix adapted a version of the show, which was pretty dark, pretty cool. Not as dark and didn't go as crazy as the comic does, and that's saying a lot, because if you've seen the show, you're being like, "Wait, the comic's even darker than this, Sabrina?" It's much
Yeah.
different.
I did watch it, but I don't think I finished it.
Yeah, there's like they released them in different kind of like volumes and chapters, but all the episodes are out there. They ended on I think they were shortchanged, but I think they got to tell their story on their own terms as far as having a little wrap up. And then Sabrina ended up showing up on Riverdale and stuff. So it was kind of cool to see the influence of these horror comics from Archie branching off and leading. Like Riverdale happens because of those horror comics, and even if they're not directly adapting them and such. But so yeah, that was one thing I wanted to spotlight. There was the if I recommend any horror comics, it's going right to. There's I think 9 issues of Sabrina. That's the only downside is that it's these issues now are like years apart, and I don't know if we'll ever get any kind of conclusion. But thankfully, they have all the new one shots and anthology stuff going on right now.
Yeah, I can second that. The Archie horror stuff is freaking fantastic. It
Yeah.
really is very, very good.
I did read Archie Afterlife and enjoyed it. Afterlife with Archie. But the one that I thought was more horrifying for me is Archie and Predator, because it was drawn in the house style. And so I was not expecting some of the things that happened in that to happen in a Archie book that looks like it's for kids, right? So I was like, oh, what?
Yeah, when they did a second volume of that, and then they switched it where it was more, Predator style and less. But it was. I thought it was a cool, unique way to kind of. All right, we're going to get some more, but now we're just going to get the other side of it, kind of like what they did with those Looney Tunes and DC comics, where they would have a background that was in Looney Tunes style, and then the main story was done in a DC style with the Looney Tunes characters. But yeah, cool stuff. All right, so that is kind of our introduction there. I've got a lot of show and tell for some horror comics, but before we get into that stuff, let's jump into some progress. Now we're seeing our art on the screen here. Let's jump over to Nick if you're ready to give us a little look into your share screen and see what.
Yeah, totally. Let me just move this up a bit.
This is always an interesting test because what I forget is that we're asking questions to our guests, and sometimes they don't have time to draw. So this will be a real test to see if you've been drawing or not during this time.
Oh, I haven't. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
I usually say that because when we had Eric Wolfgang, who you have worked with on a book we'll talk about.
I know that dude.
We had him on this episode, and he loves to talk, which it was great for me because I just got to sit back and draw and listen. And by the end of the episode, he drew like 2 eyes or something on something, and that was it.
It looked like if you see the tiny screen of mine, it looked like that.
Yeah, just. All right, so you're looking at Nick's screen here. Kind of talk us through how you feel. How you feeling this drawing right now?
Pretty good so far. I kind of had to, benefit of digital drawing. I kind of had to move Curie up a bit because she was like down here, and I was gonna interfere with, let's say, her slug friend over here. So I kind of had to move her a bit. But apart from that, yeah, I feel like it's going pretty good. Just have to ink it and everything like that. So, which is why everything's in blue. It kind of helps me. Trying to think of the word here. It kind of helps me like guide me through like all the inking process and stuff. So, kind of what that process is.
Allows you to explore what you like best. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some artistic fact behind it, but blue seems to be a typical one that is used. But I've seen other people just use whatever colors they want. Is there? There an artistic approach to blue? A reason why?
Yeah. The reason is go ahead.
Back in the old days when they used to photograph the artwork in the plates, you see, the blue couldn't get the camera, the camera, you see, couldn't pick up and it would disappear. Back in the old days, back in my day.
Might have to put subtitles on for that part.
Yeah, it doesn't get picked up by a copy machine, basically.
Okay, that's a good translation to Old Man Troy there. So
well, my reason for doing that is less interesting. It kind of just helps me see everything better when I'm inking.
Yeah.
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 You know
Yeah.
why I use blue?
Hmm.
Because when I met Chris Giarrusso used blue, and in my eyes, Chris can do kind of no wrong with his artwork, and so I want to be like Chris Giarrusso.
Hey man, his art is legit, dude. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Very
Put
cool.
it in its work.
All right. So what we're gonna do here? Let's go around. I'm gonna back out of the screen here, unless you beat me to the punch. All right. Okay. Let's check in. How you feeling about this drawing that you weren't sure about Matt Rodgers going into it?
So far, so good. Because I can't do anything in the proper order, I am already on the shading process. Okay.
Say that
So
Matt Rodgers order is the proper order because that's how you do it.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so far it's okay. I'm gonna need to bust out some reference because I do not know. I just hit the wrong thing. Whoops.
I like the neck size and just the shoulder build and stuff. It's kind of cool.
Well, thank you. Thanks.
I dig it.
Thanks.
D-Brad,
Yeah.
check in with your drawing here. How many did you finish already? Or is this...
I just did one so far. But I kind of had to, I redid some of it that I didn't like. So, but yeah, I do mine pencils in usually either red pencil or purple or blue, and and uh, and now I'm picking the right lines of what I want it to look like. So I got a base going on here, and then I'll just take my pencil and pick the lines I want. So it's Dracula. He's going to be in there.
Nice.
Excellent. Troy,
Looks good.
how's our Juggy doing over there?
I'm pretty much done. I'm not sure what I'm going to draw next, but I think that's kind of the extent of what I want to do with
Very cool.
Werewolf Jughead.
That's
I was going to do like a more cartoony version of it, and then this is kind of what came out. So
it's a good
can't always control what comes out.
Well, still looks good either way. So
Thank you.
progress
looking
on
good.
mine. So I'm going pretty rogue here. I'm no Robert Hack. I'm more of a hack than, emphasis on hack for myself. But I'm going rogue where I'm just kind of looking at some of his. He loves using his oranges and the whites and the reds and the yellows and such. And much like you have a Francesco Francavilla deals with a lot of that kind of stuff, but Robert Hack just has like an interesting texture to his art, and he does like a lot of like wood paintings, and I don't know if he has certain things like layered on his as like textured paper type of deal before he draws his stuff. But the reason I'm saying I'm going rogue is because I know I kind of want to just do something different than what I normally do. So we saw it on the screen, but I had my pencils, and before going into it, I just colored everything yellow with my markers, and then I did the body of Sabrina in orange, and then now went in with my brown for her cloak that she's wearing. But at the very end, after I get in some details with her face, I'm going to start layering in some of the with a whiteout pen to get Sabrina's iconic white hair from the comics, and I'm gonna get that stuff kind of thrown in there. But like I said, I'm kind of going off book of what I would normally do and try to see if I can turn an artistic mess into a artistic piece of work.
Nice.
Spooky.
I believe in you.
Oh well, thank you.
You got this.
Heck yeah, man.
I'll do a quick round of some of my horror comics and adjacent related stories, whether they be prose or comics, and then we'll jump into the next topic for Nick. I was a Goosebumps kid. I was at the right age. Goosebumps. That was coming out. getting every single one and going to the pharmacy with my mom and being very fortunate enough to, if there was a new one there, I got to have it. I'm sure it was very encouraging that I was so excited to read beyond comic books, reading Batman comics and Archie and all that fun stuff. But Goosebumps is the thing I think that got me really into prose reading, and I just love the heck out of those books. And I bring that up because I want to highlight our artist here, Tim Jacobus, if that's how you pronounce his name. But he is the cover artist for the Goosebumps titles. So I'm fairly certain he did them all for the first run, and he's probably done. I think when I met him, he talked about doing he's probably done 120 of these covers for Goosebumps, and he was selling these sketches at a very awesome price. And I got the Haunted Mask one. This isn't the original art from the actual book, but he did kind of recreation, still original art, but he did them for say Cheese and Die and some of those popular iconic images and such. But just to talk to this guy and have an original piece of his horror art here is just, I treasure this so much. And Eric Wolfgang, if you're watching, you're probably wondering, well, if you treasure it so much, how come it's not in a frame? We've gone over this, Eric Wolfgang, that when I bring stuff to the show, I take it out of the portfolio in the frame, so there's no reflection. So let's go to a callback to that episode. So because he was wondering why I didn't frame any of his art or keep it safe and everything. I do. I just had to. It takes a long time. I have a stack of art that I take out of these out of their casings, if you will, to show off on the show, and then I have to put them all back in afterwards.
That would have been funny if you're how you draw something for a kid and then you're like, oh, that looks really good. I wish I kept it. And then you give it to them and then they color it really badly. Oh no, I want to do that.
And then they sign their name next to yours, and now it's a collaboration.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now to bring it into comics, so R.L. Stine being the author of the Goosebumps books, he also got into comics. I think his first comic was a Man Thing miniseries at Marvel, and while that was cool, it had awesome original backup stories by R.L. Stine that were drawn, but he wrote them and had artists draw them. But they were very, if I remember correctly, non-Marvel related, and it was just an avenue to allow him to just tell comic book horror stories, which would then lead him into the independent publishers and such. And so he has a couple of these graphic novels for a Just Beyond series. So if you are a fan of Goosebumps and you're looking to find some comic book work from R.L. Stine and his authors, Just Beyond it kind of fits that tone. And he's got a bunch of other stuff too that I think Stuff of Nightmares is another one. But I just love that, I grew up reading his prose, and then now as an adult comic book reader, that being my primary source for reading, seeing R.L. Stine get into that game now within the last 8 to 10 years or so. Shout out to Rural Noir by Tim Seeley and Mike Norton here. Revival, which at the time of this recording is currently in production for a sci-fi series. It's been kind of shopped around as an independent movie for a little bit. I got to know the upcoming director, producer, Luke Boyce, and talking with Tim Seeley and all these guys kind of being local to us. This is a Wisconsin horror story. And if you haven't checked out Revival, it's a complete story. I think 47 issues. It'll be a sci-fi series, I believe, starting in 2025. Gorgeous covers by Jenny Frison. She does covers for all of the work there. But these are the things that I had to highlight with Chilling Sabrina and Revival being, if you're talking about horror comics, when Nick said that, I'm like, I cannot wait to have this avenue to talk about these specific titles. And this is kind of like a zombie sort of story. It's just basically everybody in this small Wisconsin town, basically one day, all the dead people just came back to life, and they were sort of just in a zombie state, but not necessarily looking like you were a typical Walking Dead zombie walker, whatever you want to call them. but it is a very creepy, interesting story. So if you like The Walking Dead, I think this is definitely a good way to jump into something adjacent to that. But this is super cool. I can't wait to watch the sci-fi series because I'll be rereading all of these for the Crimson Cowl Comic Club. We're gonna do a special episode about Revival Comics.
All right.
Man, speaking of The Walking Dead, did
Yes.
you guys ever read what's it called? Rick Grimes 2000?
Yeah.
Well,
I-
have you read it, Matt Rodgers, that you brought it up?
I picked it up. I thumbed through it, but I haven't actually read it. But the basis of it was told to me, and I'm just sitting here like, what?
It's fantastic, dude.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick, you want to speak on that? For you seem to have the appreciation for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a somewhat tonal opposite to Walking Dead, where it's just absolutely crazy. It just is. Like Rick Grimes is a sci-fi hero who has a lightsaber, and I've told all my friends who have gotten into like the Walking Dead comics that they should do an adaptation of Rick Grimes 2000. I would pay serious money to see that. Like that TV show they did, but Rick Grimes 2000. That would be insane, dude. I would love that.
That would be fun. That sounds like how many issues is it?
I have it as a one shot, like hardcover graphic novel.
Okay.
It was described to me that basically like once you die in The Walking Dead, your afterlife is like a death match in hell.
Yeah.
It's real weird. I don't even know where it is. Otherwise, I'd pick it up and show you guys. But I mean, it explains it all just with the cover image. I just don't know what I did with it.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was released like little by little in an Image like anniversary like anthology or something. So you may have gotten, eventually the collected edition. But I think that's how they rolled it out, where they just kind of gave you these anthology stories, and then you would have to get each one if you wanted to get each part of the Rick Grimes story.
Okay.
Boop. There we go. Rick Grimes 2000.
Heck yeah, man.
It's
Is he all-
absolutely bizarre.
Okay. All right, the cyborg guys.
Excellent.
Are there other characters besides him in it?
Yeah,
Like-
like the governor's in
Yeah, he
there.
plays the governor, I think. Yeah.
That's the governor on the back with the bloody claw hand. And then Rick Grimes with his super robot hand holding the lightsaber.
Oh, okay, that's his hand. Okay.
It's nuts, man.
Yeah.
I adore Rick Grimes 2000, dude.
Love it.
Since it was brought up, I adore the Seeley family.
Yes.
All of them are so amazing and talented and kind and just wonderful folks. I don't really know them, but I know them well enough to know how great they are. Just some of the best people on earth.
Yeah, I have the pleasure of locally being, close to them, so I get to see them at C2E2 every year and stuff. And the Seeleys are originally from Wisconsin and reside in Chicago and stuff like that. But yeah, they're awesome. Everyone, Tim and his wife. I got some original art from her, and then Steve Seeley and Jenny Frizen. Like, yeah,
Howla.
yep.
Nice.
All right.
Oh, yeah, man.
I'm gonna back up here as we jump over to. We mentioned Eric Wolfgang in this episode already, and we've alluded to Super Fun Altogether, Cactus and Liz, the story by Franco and Nick and Eric Wolfgang here. So you're very good at setting up pitches and interviews and things like that. So give us the elevator pitch on Super Fun Altogether, Cactus and Liz.
So basically, a fairy has to try to help a cactus and a lizard find their purpose and meaning in life. That's the story.
How did you get the idea of having a cactus as a character?
So, it kind of came to me when Franco came to me with the idea, and he was like, "Hey, listen, I have this idea based on a comic book strip," and I'm like, "Let me try to cook with it." So I went ahead and we worked together on it, produced a script, and then I saw Eric Wolfgang's art, fell in love with it because his style is like very distinct, very out there in the best possible way. And I was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, this seems like a slam dunk. So
Choice.
that was essentially the impetus behind that, and just kept on getting crazier and crazier from there. So
Yeah, we talked about this on the Crimson Cowl Comic Club. We talked. I'm trying to think if this was out yet when we had Franco on this very show. I forget where all the timelines were on that. But reading this and talking about Eric Wolfgang's art, you can just see that he had a blast doing it. Like you guys really gelled together because the things that goes on in that guy's brain, I think, just leaks onto the page here. And this book just is a crazy trip of a story, and highly, highly recommended for it's its own singular story. You don't need anything going in, so it's a great jump on point for what's going on. This one here, I know that reaching out to Franco and going to his convention tables, going to the websites, I'm sure Eric's got copies, but this is definitely something that highly encourage our viewers here to go and check out if you haven't, because copies are available, I assume. So
I thought that the comic strip was. I didn't realize that it started off as a comic strip idea. I thought that was all fake. That you pretended it came from a comic strip.
I think it did generally start as a comic book strip because admittedly, he had the idea at first
Yeah.
for the story about the cactus and the lizard, and then everything kind of expanded from there once we started working on it together. Because he was just like, "Hey, I want like a super out there idea." So that's what we just tooled together and came up with.
Cool.
Yeah,
Fun.
I think it was originally. Oh yeah, go ahead.
all I was going to say is that I just remember just hearing inklings that Eric Wolfgang, who I was just starting to recognize and be aware of in the art community, that he was working with Franco and Nick on something, but just didn't know anything. But it was just one of those, just being like, "Ooh, I'm very intrigued to just see some comic book work there," and it did not disappoint. So big fan of Super Fun altogether.
Hey, happy you're a fan of it.
Mhm.
All right, let's check in on some drawings. Nick, if you want to jump over to your screen, kind of see some progress here.
Oh boy, prepare to see a ton of sketch layers. Let's see here.
I am prepared to see it.
About there. And okay, is it going to
Stand
cooperate
by.
with me? Yes, it will. Yeah, so I'm currently inking.
So
Okay,
before you
subject
go
here.
further, okay, we see your. Okay, now we're good. Okay.
Yeah, currently inking that. Obviously, make sure I have an ink layer. You don't want to ink on the same layer as your sketch because that's happened to me way too many times.
Yeah.
But let me show you the other layers. That's like the landscape there. I also have the layer for the sky. Obviously, I have to like ink everything separately. But so far, I am having more fun with this than I thought. I also had to tilt this little dude around. So
Where you go? There, where you go? Where you go? I like them.
yeah, thanks.
Are you okay, Troy?
Yeah, I'm good.
Mhm.
Just says looking at the little slug guy, and the slug guy disappeared.
Oh, okay.
It made me sad.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He'll
Well,
come
make
back.
sure- Okay.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like the what kind of looks like Nightmare Before Christmas, like hair curls, like just that design there looks really cool.
I'm gonna be real with you. I did that by complete accident because my hand wasn't steady. But let's call it a feature, not a bug.
It's like a Tim Burton cinnamon roll. It's kind of what
I like that.
Really release Little Debbie and Tim Burton should have a collaboration for Halloween and come out with Tim Burton cinnamon rolls.
Right. Whoa.
Did you see the Addams Family Burger King stuff they're doing?
No.
They're doing a purple Whopper.
Really?
Like then they're doing Cousin It has onion rings. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Like the whole thing's like themed for Addams Family.
Is that because Wednesday's coming out, or is that why? What?
I'm not sure because I figured that would have been like last year or something when the show came out. I don't know when the second season's happening, but then I heard that they're doing a spin-off series about Fester.
Oh yeah, right, yeah. And they've done a couple of animated ones in the last few years too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I don't
That's-
think Wednesday season 2 comes out till next for 2025, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I was hoping for that ghost pepper burger again, but nope.
maybe they just had leftover burgers when they did like the Into the Spider-Verse event, and they're like, Addams Family burgers.
Are they still the Black Whopper ones? When that came out
Yeah.
years ago at this point.
Yeah. All right. Cool. And then we're going to check on some other progress here. We're going to jump over to Matt Rodgers. We're just on your face at the moment.
Oh man, I forgot to hit my button. Boop. Okay. I'm
Look at
doing
this.
sound effects.
Very cool.
It's
I
it's
love it.
I feel okay about it.
And if you feel okay about it, at least save the okayness about it, even if you.
Oh, this one I've worked too hard on this one. It's getting saved.
Save future Anthony one message. Jump over to D Brad.
Yes. Oh, I'm working on my. I'm in too close. I'm extreme close up here. But I'll get three headshots. So this is gonna be the Frankenstein monster anyway.
Cool.
Love it.
I like the I don't like the awkwardness of the smile.
Yeah, that's
Like
what I was-
like I'm just learning how to smile, kind of smile.
yeah.
Putting on the roots.
I'll tell you what that smile reminds me of. It looks like Harry and the Hendersons smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of does.
It was, yeah.
Viewers at home will be seeing that comparison right now. I'll throw up an image of that, but that's like it wasn't until Troy called it out where I'm just like, there's something about that. I'm like, is it
Yeah.
like Incredible Hulkish? What am I thinking here? And then I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you're from Harry and the Hendersons. So
Yeah.
What's your all-time favorite learning how to smile, bad smile in cinema history?
Chandler from Friends. He tries.
Big fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger from Terminator 2.
That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
good one. Yeah.
Think we listed all of them. All right
Yeah,
then.
we got it.
Both of them, yeah.
I'm trying. Yeah, I bet you there's a lot of them, but like once you think about it, then also, oh, yeah.
Okay. Say it. Don't think about it. Just let it come to you.
Oh, how about the Tim Curry smile from Home Alone 2 when he like transforms like the Grinch into he has very Grinch like.
Oh, and he runs the hotel.
Yeah. He pulls on like a Grinch smile, but like
Oh yeah, I could totally see that.
yeah.
It does. It does look
That's
like
when the card comes back as stolen.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks up and then
We love you.
turn off my emails. Oops.
All right. Well, nobody send D Brad any emails because he's not going to see them anymore. Just turned them off. Troy, you're jumping into another drawing here. Another Jughead, but more cartoony. Is that what we're looking at? Jug Wolf, rather.
What? He's on mute.
Troy's
Oh.
on mute. Oh, he may have.
Sorry. Werewolf by Night.
Very cool.
My apologies.
Werewolf
My
by
son had come in to ask some questions a while ago, and I muted it so you guys wouldn't hear the conversation.
Where do babies come from?
Whoa. Whoa.
I told him what every good father tells them: we grow them in a petri dish.
Yeah.
They appear.
Out of progress on here. I am really digging it. This Sabrina that I just kind of really winging.
Yeah.
I'm to the point where I'm gonna have to start laying out some whiteout, and that's where I'm gonna get nervous. So I'm not jumping into it quite yet, but I kind of like what where I'm at here. Looked at Robert Hack's Sabrina, and then I looked at his skull imagery, and then I looked at the Crypt Keeper, and there was a Crypt Keeper costume with a hood and stuff. So I kind of use that as kind of a guiding tool of what's going on here. But yeah, I'm kind of just wasting time, not ready to commit to the whiteout stuff because that may make it or break it. So, yeah.
Man, I had that fear the other day. I did the Slaughter Otter sketch cover for Superfly Comics, and I thought about coloring it with my Prismacolor markers, and then I just no. I don't want to put this much work back into drawing another one in case I screw it up.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good little spin-off topic. If anybody, feel free to chime in if you have a story of kind of like art hesitation. If there's anything that maybe you're not too comfortable with, if you're experimenting with stuff, anyone, if you have a story, feel free to jump in.
Oh man, there's a lot of those with me. I mean, I used to be like really, ironically enough, really nervous about doing digital stuff because I was never.
Oh, you may have froze there a little bit. I don't know if you can hear us. Nick, can you hear?
No.
Nick, can you hear us?
Oh no, there's a horror spirit.
Over my own hand.
Okay,
There we go.
so Nick, you
What?
froze for maybe 10 seconds. Can you hear us live right now?
Oh, did I cut out?
Yep, for about 10 seconds. So you talked about hesitation of drawing digitally, and then you cut out. So go ahead.
Oh shoot, yeah. So yeah, I struggled with that for like a while actually, and I just took trying to keep doing it and doing it over and over again, and it just wouldn't really work for me. Like just doing it digitally, and I'm just like, well, I have to get my art out digitally somehow, especially if I want to like do comic book stuff, because I could do stuff in my sketchbook all day long. In fact, I have tons of stuff in there. I'm gonna see if I have a more spookier drawing in the meantime. But it was just over and over again trying to get that right, and it just wouldn't happen until it just clicked. I don't know what it was really, but honestly, I only started drawing digitally last year, admittedly. So um, that was a thing, and then I've been doing that ever since. Now I'm just trying to get really good at drawing hands, and sometimes I cheat a bit and trace over my own hand. I think
yeah.
I recently did that Gambit piece. If you follow my Instagram, I recently did that Gambit piece where like his hand is like that. That's my hand. I had to draw over that because that was the only way it was really going to work.
Well, let's just stand by because past Anthony went ahead and has that as one of the images. So we should be seeing that right now.
Oh heck yeah, man!
Go.
All right.
Hey, I recognize that hand.
Yeah.
That looks like a Nick hand. Nick Aureliani hand. Look at that.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like I have to pipe up real quick, but there's no such thing as cheating. So you just used reference.
I mean that's true. Yeah.
See?
It'd have been cheating if you used like an animal's paw or something. It'd be like, all right, come on now. That's
Absolutely.
very cool. Well, do you have any more related to that story as I cycle through some images since we got into this mode here, Nick?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of just art hesitation, I mean, it took me a while to get really confident in my abilities as like, just doing art in general, because I kind of, it's not a big secret that I grew up around like the industry, like ever since I was like a kid, you know, and I was always surrounded by people who were really good at this stuff. So I was like, I don't know if I could ever get to that level, but it got to a point one day where I was just like, you know what, man? What do I have to lose? I'm gonna keep trying, keep drawing like every freaking day, because advice that my dad told me, and that's if you want to get good at something, if you want to get good at drawing, you draw, and if you want to get good at writing, you write. So that's what I've been doing, and originally started in the sketchbook before I could do digital. Like this was my first one in that series. Nightmare Before Christmas one. That was probably far back on my Instagram feed from like last year at this point, and just kept on improving from there, and then to a point where I have actually seen an improvement. And then this is my most recent one, the Vegeta piece I did a while ago, which isn't appearing because its green screen is not working. But yeah, that's just a part of the process. You try and try again, and eventually going to keep getting it, or you fake it till you make it, which is essentially what I did because I had no idea what the heck I was doing half the time. So,
All right.
Yeah, like
there you go.
it's almost impossible to get worse at something that you do every day. So
Exactly. Yeah.
I was about to say the same thing there, Matt.
Yeah, I was going to say that too.
Yeah, and right before he was going to say that, and right before Troy was going to say it, and right before T. Brad was going to say it, I was going to say that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
oh
Now I
yeah.
feel silly having said that I was just about to say the same thing.
You know what? Yours,
Now I
yours,
just feel like
yours
I'm a
was genuine. Yours was genuine. Mine was just taking it further. And Anthony took it over the top.
Yeah. Speaking of over the top, is
It's
that
a great film.
favorite Stallone movie?
Yeah.
Favorite Stallone movie.
Over the top.
What's your favorite Stallone movie and why is it always Rocky?
Mine is Rambo, honestly. So
Rambo.
Which Rambo? Which one?
I'm a First Blood guy.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Also,
Oh, yeah, that was
one, I
good.
forget if it's the first or second one, but whatever the one where he's hiding in mud, and all of a sudden his eyes just open, and then he like gets somebody. But
Oh, yeah. That's
I'm trying to think if that's
part
I was
two.
gonna say that's Predator, bro, but then
Yeah,
it's both.
yeah.
so-
While I have all the Rockies and everything, I was always a Rambo guy myself. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Rockies.
I've had that question sitting on a Cartoonist by Night thread since we started the show. Is just waiting for someone to mention Over the Top. So
All right.
The right time, man.
Not a fan of Cobra
seize the day.
Cobra, yeah. Crimes of disease meet the cure.
or
Is that a Judge Dredd thing?
No, that's Cobra.
right.
Cobra.
Judge Dredd's also it's like bad, but in that good way.
Oh yeah,
But
100%.
the Carl Urban one, man, that thing was whew, that was awesome.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
Heard good things.
I'm the
I like
law.
Demolition Man. I think that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Not Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
That one's also good. I guess I heard today that Beverly Hills Cop was originally supposed to be a Stallone movie.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Like had a full script and everything, and he wanted to make a whole bunch of changes to it, and they said no, so he dropped off of it.
And then what
Huh.
he was working on became Cobra.
Well, we can see who made the better choice there. They're not making a Cobra 2 20 years later.
All right.
Yeah, Rocky's a legit one though.
Heck yeah.
Hard to go wrong with that one.
Okay, I'm trying to think where we are. I think we checked in with everybody in that round. I'll do another quick burst of some of the horror comics that I set aside, whether they're old, whether they're new. Kyle Starks, big fan of Kyle Starks. We talked about him on our episode of Winston Gambro, talking about current favorite non-Big Two comics. But Old Head is a graphic novel about Dracula. And I'll
Fun.
just read the synopsis here. The madcap action horror story of the world's toughest former pro basketball player returning home with his daughter to learn about his destiny and his mother's mysterious past, while right next door, Dracula and his goons are on the eve of their bloodiest holiday. It's a really goofy story. Kyle Starks is awesome, and yeah, never would I have been like, all right, how come nobody's doing a story about Dracula and basketball? And Kyle Starks pretty much checks those boxes right here. It's not Dracula playing basketball; it just takes the life of a basketball player and having him, next door is Dracula. But Old Head, over the last like maybe 2 years ago, it maybe came out. But
Well,
and
I
then,
was interested until you said that it's not him playing basketball.
yeah, I'm gonna cut. I'm
What?
gonna
Is he
cut
like
that.
a mentor who lives next door?
It just turns into a normal like Dracula thing, but it's just kind of interesting. You almost take like just two genres and just happen to you're just like, oh, we have this slice of life basketball story, and then now, oh yeah, and right next door is Dracula. So it, yeah,
I think I really like if you go with the combining genres with horror. I'm a big fan of the horror comedy.
yes,
Very, yeah.
Wolfman's got nards.
Yeah, Wolfman's got nards.
Saturday the 14th. That's another good one.
Yeah, that's
Shaun
right.
of the Dead.
Oh, Shaun of the Dead's a classic, dude.
They're
Love that movie.
re-releasing it to theaters.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I'm getting mad because all these movies that are being re-released to theaters, they're only doing them for like 1 or 2 days, and it's never a day that I'm off work.
Oh, there.
Like they re-released all three of the Lord of the Rings movies, and they played each movie like 2 days. And the only one that I was off for was The Two Towers, and I'm not gonna go watch the worst Lord of the Rings movie in theaters.
Middle part.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm good. I want to go see Return of the King, man.
There's a horror comic that I really enjoy.
let's
It's not like oh huh
So
Okay.
let's hear it. Let's hear it.
oh
Yeah.
I just got
it's
excited.
not widely distributed. I believe Alterna Comics is reprinting them, but you can get them on Indie Planet. It's called Wolf and Batsy.
Okay.
It's by Brian Bow, I think, Baugh. But there's 4 volumes. I have all 4 of them, and as he goes through this, I mean, each one is maybe 200 pages,
Okay.
but you can just watch him getting better and better and better. It's a little bit cartoonish as far as the art, but it's also got a lot of like the textures that you'd see like in an old Bernie Wrightson. It may be in that it came out on a Wednesday. He may
Well,
be in some of those.
that was a great segue because, yeah, you mentioned Alterna, and I've got some Alterna to talk about for horror too. But so the title was the Wolf and Batsy, or Wolf.
Wolf and Batsy. So
Batsy?
the cover for the first one isn't by him, but a little bit gruesome. But his artwork is amazing. His stories are compelling. He's a very talented dude.
Yeah, I think future Anthony's going to write that down when I go through because yeah, that looks like something I'd be interested in.
Yeah. Wolf and Batsy. Indieplanet.com if you just search Wolf WLF and Batsy. Good stuff.
We're looking at it came out on a Wednesday, which I think did a dozen issues, maybe 11 or 12 issues. And this was a cool anthology series that just had a bunch of independent creators and stuff just getting to tell their own stories. But what was cool is that it was printed on newsprint, making it the cheapest book on the rack, money wise, but value wise on the inside, they had a lot of really fun stories, and we all talked about every issue as a club, and had some really cool covers, and they would do a lot of kind of commentary or like an interview with the cover artist, if I'm not mistaken, and it was kind of cool to like just have that little insight for every issue. So if you're looking into making anthology comics and stuff, I think it came out on a Wednesday as a good template to follow and inspiration and stuff. I really dug that stuff there. Now, if we want to talk about fun and goofy and kid friendly and such, we're talking about
Yes.
Mr. Crypt. Oh, I'm so glad that Troy, because I don't think we've talked about this at all, you and I.
No, we
Maybe
sure
you,
haven't.
Yeah, but we talked a lot about Mr. Crypt at the Crimson Cowl Comic Club. Mr. Crypt and Baron Rat, who we later find out in other adventures and getting a well, he is in the first one here. He's down here in the corner, Baron Rat.
Like,
But yeah,
yeah.
this is super fun, like comic strippy type of stuff, and just real goofy hijinks. Mr. Crypt, and he puts on a disguise. He's got a top hat and a mustache here, so he just goes around. That's his very brilliant disguise. And uh, right here, I just opened up Mr. Crypt. He's like, "You saw a skeleton? Yes, it was horrible. These are dark times indeed. If a skeleton roams the earth, agreed." And this is all, Mr. Crypt just staying under the radar there, man. Yeah, so I pulled these issues out here, and I'm gonna keep these out because I have to revisit some Mr. Crypt.
Yeah, Mr. Crypt is really good.
Any other people want to mention some horror comics at all? Nick, you have anything else?
I remember one of the last monthlies I really kept up with was Immortal Hulk. Loved that series. I thought it was great because it was like a horror twist on Hulk, and I loved every second of what I read on that one. So that was one I really enjoyed. And I'm trying to think of more, dude.
Yeah, that was like a lot of like body horror stuff and that Hulk. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's the second time the phrase body horror has come up. What is body horror?
It's where scary things happen to your body.
Essentially, yeah. Like
The
Body
Thing,
yeah, if you've seen The Thing, that's pretty much like a textbook example of it. Like
Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
oh yeah, GOTG
What?
3 had a bunch of themes of body horror in it, dude.
Yeah,
I
dude,
think that's
it
why it
was
was like one of my favorite MCU movies that came out, probably. Yeah.
Animal characters, Troy.
Mhm.
Oh, is Troy frozen?
yeah, we killed him.
Yeah,
I don't think am I frozen?
you're back.
No.
You're back.
Nah, you're back.
But
You were just
No, I-
horrified.
I don't think I was
fucking
ever
frozen.
frozen. I think my actual face was frozen. Like, how is Guardians of the Galaxy horror?
With all the animal characters with the
Yeah.
body stuff and
Well,
the,
there's the
Oh,
animal
yeah, the
characters,
High
Fermentation.
Evolutionary was terrifying. I love that adaptation, dude. It
and
was
just like all the
fantastic.
computers and stuff in the third movie were all like fleshy and like made
Mhm.
out of skin and stuff.
all the nebula stuff too, I guess, too, with all the
Yeah.
Yeah, and like American Werewolf in London has the transformation scene, and that's like super body horror.
Okay.
Anytime like
I love that
Akira
scene. That's
has
a
that,
classic
too. Yeah.
scene.
Mhm.
anytime something happens to someone's body and it makes you go, ugh, that's body horror.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's awesome.
Is the Goon considered a horror comic?
I'd say so, yeah. Wouldn't it? Yeah.
I
The
would
Goon
say
is
so.
great.
I wouldn't see why not.
The
It's
new
pretty
Goon
great.
stuff the new Goon stuff is amazing.
I got
Yeah.
the Goon Library Volume 1 and 2, and have read each of them multiple times. They're really, really good.
Eric Powell is one of my friend's cousins, so I'm like 6 degrees of separation.
Ooh.
Oh, very nice.
How about Hellboy? Would Hellboy be horror? Hellboy? Or
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't see
he's
why it
like a
wouldn't be.
demon, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's some certainly scary elements to it. I would maybe you could consider it full blown horror. I don't know if you would consider it full blown horror, but there's certainly aspects of it.
yeah.
I mean, hey, you got Guillermo del Toro to do 2 movies with that, so maybe there's something there with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, new Goon! It's new! The new Goon book!
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Whoa.
Art is so good.
Who's the artist on that?
Eric Powell.
Oh, yeah, same. New guy, same as the old guy.
Yeah, were they always black and white? I can't remember because I've only ever seen like colorized like hardcovers because this book is
Oh, yeah. Once I
No,
had-
they were not black and white when Dark
Yeah.
Horse had it.
this has like washes and stuff, and it's actually really neat because like I don't know how well it's gonna show up, but this panel right here It's like the foreground is inked, but the background is just the pencils.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So it's like
Yeah,
super rough.
Whoa.
he did that kind of stuff with the Dark Horse ones, but it was still colored over. Not unlike the Dark Horse Conans with Cary Nord, where he wouldn't quite ink it; it would just be drawn and then drawn in pencil and then colored. So
Oh, love that.
like the primary art was um, in shades.
Okay. Then another book that's a lot of fun. Eric Powell is the writer for it. Lester of the Lesser Gods. It's real fun. It's a good time. It's done by Gideon Kendall is the artist
I was
on it.
kind of hoping you were going to come up with chimichanga.
Chimichanga.
Chimichanga. It's like a little girl with like a full beard.
What?
Awesome.
What's wrong with you?
Chimichanga, isn't that like a Mexican food?
It is a
Deep
food,
fried
yes.
burrito.
Yeah.
It's a what?
Deep fried burrito.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I'm always just like tacos, extra spicy, please.
Yeah. I think that Deadpool says
Speaking
all
of
the time.
speaking of deep fried, I went to an authentic country fair last weekend.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, we had deep fried Oreos, Twinkies, pickles, and a Rice Krispie treat.
Oh yeah.
And all of them were really, really good, like surprisingly good. My son got sick,
Oh dear.
but aside from that, everything was really surprisingly good. We had it,
From something
and
new.
we weren't planning on getting the Rice Krispie treat, but it was the release day of Rice Christopher.
Oh,
And there we go.
But
He saw it coming.
he's a crispy
It's the
rice.
release day of Rice Christopher, and so we had
He's a-
deep fried Rice Krispie treats.
But
nice.
that wouldn't be the same though, because I'd be more into some crispy rice treats instead.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Oh, I got my bad. Yes.
Just saying, I would have turned down those other ones, being like, I want the crispy rice treats.
I don't know. They were friggin' delicious, man.
Uh,
But
Those tend to be, yeah.
the boy got sick, so
Well, what did he do that for?
uh, you know, too much sugar. It happens.
we'll
Amateur.
do some check-ins on some drawings. I got a little confidence with the whiteout, so I started going in with the skull and the hair to kind of have a little yin yang there to kind of have.
Is she wearing like a monk kind of robe?
It's kind of, yeah, just some kind of cloak. I looked at some crypt keeper stuff and he was wearing a cloak in one of the images I saw, so I was kind of using that as an example. And but yeah, I'm gonna do some more skull details probably after the show when I get in with I gotta find my finer inking pen to get some scratches in there and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this kind of random kind of going rogue on this drawing.
My crypt keeper's dressed up like a doctor.
Whoa.
Maybe, yeah, maybe I have time to turn this around. Maybe turn this into a Scrubs or something. With
Oh man. So I've been watching Tales from the Crypt while I draw. And season 2, episode 1 has Demi Moore in it, but it's like short-haired era Demi Moore from like the Nothing But Trouble era.
Or ghost?
Yeah, my goodness. What a lady.
She's a lady. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
we'll talk
She's a...
about the Crypt Keeper. Wait.
the crypt keeper.
And it's funny because like the first season of Tales from the Crypt, the Crypt Keeper isn't funny at all. Like
Oh.
doesn't even try to be funny. He's just like, I'm a creepy zombie guy. Here's this episode. And then like the one-liners and stuff happened way later.
I don't know if it was around the same time or before, but there's quite. I think it could have been. I think it was in the 1980s. They had a lot of those horror anthology shows in syndication, and There's one called Monsters. It was just a single season. And then there was one about where Freddy Krueger was the host, called Freddy's Nightmares.
Really?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
the complete series of the Friday the 13th television show that has
Yeah.
absolutely nothing to do with Jason. It's about these three people that like own an antique store or something.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so dumb. But no, as Monsters, did that have the episode about the vampires that were in like a barber shop or something?
Possibly.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
And it had Matt LeBlanc was in it. It was like one of his first acting roles.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
See,
Yeah.
I know what's up.
I
Is that a
was
wolf man?
I was
Hmm?
a big Are You Afraid of the Dark fan. Nickelodeon, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, the Midnight Society.
Especially
Right.
with there's like a little ghost boy. It's one thing that stays with me forever. But like when they see this ghost boy, they look at him and he just goes, "I am cold." And like throughout the episode, he like every time they see him, and it gets creepier and funnier every time. But just I am cold. So anytime
I'm
I hear
cold.
anybody for the last 25 years, if they just say like, "Oh, I'm cold," and I just think I am cold. And if we won't get taken down, future Anthony will put that clip in here. So
Yeah.
Just mirror it and speed it up like 0.5%. You'll be good.
Good.
I'll just use my voiceover for it because it'll sound.
I'm cold.
Oh yeah, you should do that.
Yeah.
Check in on some drawings, Nick. If you want to jump to share screen, we'll see what.
Heck yeah, man.
Well, you used the phrase earlier, and I've never used this in real life, but we've been letting you cook, I think. So I want to see what you've been cooking up.
Oh, yeah, man, I've been cooking. Hopefully, I'm not burning it. Let's see here. What do we got? Yeah, I got more of the ink. Is it going? Oh, it's going. Yeah, I got more of the ink going here.
Nice.
Yeah, I just want to get more backgrounds and stuff. I feel like I screwed up her hand, but yeah, no.
Very cool. And then get the little.
I'm debating on whether or not to keep this in black and white because the original one was in black and white, and that kind of added to it. So I don't know, really. So
Yeah, do black and white.
yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe add gray too.
Oh yeah, gray tints. I want to figure out how to do that, but probably going to experiment with that. So
The slug friend down there. What was the name of the slug friend again?
oh, he's a slug. He turned into a slug. So he's chilling out over here, you know, kind of creeping her out because she's like what's going on here, you know?
Does slug have teeth?
Oh yeah, he has teeth.
That's a creepy slug.
Oh yeah, it's very creepy. Uzumaki is a
Slug
really
bite.
out there book. I can't not recommend it enough. It's perfection. Like I'm really into like books that really hook you with like a page turn. Like and his stuff is like that in spades, dude. Like you just turn the page like what's that, you know? Oh, it's perfect.
I'm still thinking about those Tim Burton cinnamon rolls.
Oh yeah, I added more. I like you got me thinking about it and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna run with that. So
Go for
kind of
Let's go
kinda
for a
went ahead.
baker's dozen if you got room.
Looks good. I like
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I got like 6. One of them's hidden, and yeah, I just have to draw everything else in the background, but it's gonna happen eventually.
Very cool, very cool. And we're going to jump back over here. Troy, did you finish that that Werewolf by Night you were?
Yes. I actually like the Werewolf by Night one.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Got a little bit of a Wallace and Gromit kind of mouth,
Yeah,
but
I
aside
like
from the Wallace and Gromit gob, I like it.
very cool. Hey, Brad, what character are we looking at over here?
Okay. So I was referring to the kid show here
Yeah.
that Vincent Price was on, and one of the actors, the main actor on it, he played like the Count Frightenstein, and he played all pretty much all the characters.
Yeah, I
And,
remember you saying that.
yeah, and so this is the Wolf Man, who's a disc jockey, funny thing about him is it was kind of like a perm hair he had. And so he's got his microphone because he was a radio DJ, and then he had a stack of records beside him, and then he had a record player. And I haven't finished the skull yet. The record player was attached to a skull. He's about to drop the needle, and he'd go like, "Can you dig it?" And he talked like Wolfman Jack, kind of like this.
I was just gonna ask about Wolfman Jack and if it one
And then
came before the other, or
yeah, and so it was all of the shows were made in a 9 month period, 1971, but they had enough shows to like rerun forever, like almost 200 shows. And so what they do is assembly line filming, kind of like You Can't Do It on Television was like it, or Laughing before that, where it had little vignettes and they go back and forth. And he'd film all of his Wolfman parts one day, and then he'd film all of his Griselda the Witch parts one day, and a lot of it was just ad-libbing. So like Vincent Price did all of his hosting stuff in one weekend,
really?
and so when his part came, they would play a contemporary rock song, and they would use psychedelic lights, and it would be his silhouette dancing, and then a big guy named Igor would come in dancing with him too, and but he would act, because they didn't want it to become dated. He would act like they were golden oldies, even though they were from 1971, most of the songs. And but when they put it on DVD or when they air it on television, because of music rights, a lot of his stuff gets cut out.
Aw, that sucks.
Yeah, but you can find the rare one of him. But it's pretty funny how they used to play around with video effects back then.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty low budget, like. So yeah, it's the Wolfman. But yeah, just gotta do the skull.
I see Rogers has a pumpkin over there.
I drew a pumpkin.
All right, that is totally a pumpkin. I can tell you drew.
That is a pumpkin.
Got your style.
I did a pumpkin.
Heck yeah.
Very well done, Matt.
Pumpkin.
Do you guys go all out in your pumpkin carving?
No, we don't carve pumpkins.
I haven't carved a pumpkin in a minute.
Oh yeah.
It's a pumpkin. I do.
I'm cold.
I'm very cold. I shall hug this pumpkin.
I'm cold.
We used to get the family together, all of us as like adults, and all kind of turn into a party where normally we wouldn't really have that as kids so much, but it was kind of fun to kind of do that as adults. And I did like a Wolverine pumpkin. I've done a Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh wow.
A Super Mario one I did a Buffy one, and that's perfect. I did Buffy and Spike as pumpkins, and I did the Angel Investigations logo from Angel's TV show. I did that as a pumpkin. So I had and if I'd be able to find those images, we'll be seeing those in post. But yeah, I haven't carved one in a while though. It'd be fun to. I don't know.
I'll be right back.
I still do it every year, but I keep it like the classic with the triangles.
Jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
A Brad-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
Brad-o'-lantern. Do you know the original jack-o'-lanterns were turnips?
Turnips.
Yeah.
I would believe that.
I did not know that.
It's a real thing I learned.
I believe
And they're absolutely terrifying when you see pictures of them.
Oh yeah.
It's like when you look at old pictures of people with the Easter Bunny and stuff, and they just
Or like 1930s Halloween costumes. You're just like, dear God.
Happy Easter, I guess.
Yeah, I remember when all those turned into like creepypastas when I was a kid. That was something, dude.
It's like, there's no need for all that. My word.
Now, that's a great transition. I have a bunch of images that I took off from your Instagram and such. So I'm going to cycle through those images, but rather than talking about those, I'll have you talk about basically when art came into your life. So go ahead.
Well, I was just kind of born into that, you know, again, when I say I grew up around the industry, like, you know, I was surrounded by it, like by the time I could like start reading, I was given a Spider-Man comic. By the time I could start understanding stories, um, you know, sat down, watched, oh, hey, there's an Azula piece I did. Um, I like started watching Star Wars and stuff. And I really liked all those. I think what really, and by the time I was like a kid, where like I could start holding like crayons and stuff, I started scribbling around and stuff. So that's kind of where it started. Kind of as a kid, I think the two ones that like really influenced like my art style, especially into like what it is now. I remember being into Pokemon, still am, but like really into it as a kid. And my parents picked me up like a Pokemon manga, Pokemon Adventures, which is a super underrated thing from like that series as a whole. And that art style really influenced me, combined with like um the Teen Titans 2003 series, how that like kind of mixed like the Western style, like that BTAS style with like the anime. That hit for me. So I was just like, I want to do stuff that's kind of like that.
Well, then
So
you
that's kind of,
probably watched Avatar Last Airbender then, did you?
oh yeah, no, I definitely did. I didn't start appreciating the deeper story until I got older, but I really like that style too because that was like right up my alley. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of just did all that. Oh, that was kind of rough. Um, but I kind of did all that like throughout being a kid and into like, a, being a teenager and stuff. And I just got more influenced by like all the other stuff I was reading too and like watching because that was when I really got into like more comic books because I was just allowed to read more of them. So I think the other ones that really influenced me, Waluigi, hell yeah. Um,
Awesome.
the other ones that really influenced me were like I had to narrow them down to three was like Sandman, Berserk, was
Oh
one
yeah,
that
for sure.
really Berserk is probably one of my favorite books of all time. Um, that or Sandman is probably my favorite comic book. I can't decide which one. Really influenced like that style, like because like that was like super detailed stuff, and I was just like, oh, I want to do that, and I'm still trying to get to that detailed like part, but I feel like slowly but surely I'm getting there. And throughout high school, I just kept doing it, but even got voted best artist, even though I'm just like, guys, there's clearly more talented artists, vote for them. Uh, but then again, I was just drawing on literally everything that I could get my hands on, not just like papers and like notebooks, but like whiteboards and stuff. Like a teacher would walk in and be like, "Who drew this?" Like, yeah, it's me.
Strong on strong on your
Um,
friends too.
oh yeah, no, I did that as well. And as terms of just wanting to like turn that into somewhat of a career, that kind of came to me after college because by the time I was in that stage of finishing college, COVID happened. So
Oh, yeah.
that really stopped everything dead in its tracks. I was just kind of like, oh, what the hell do I do type of thing. Because I went in for writing, had an internship going, and nothing came of that. It all fell apart essentially. So, I was honestly kind of bummed out and didn't know what really to do with everything. But then I got reintroduced back into comics because I am fortunate enough to have connections and have doors open to me that some people just didn't have. And I'm like very aware of that, because that's what happens when you're a second generation creator,
Hmm.
or second generation anything. You know what I'm saying? So I luckily had an avenue to get into that and it reignited my love of doing artwork because I've been seeing what other people are doing around me and I'm just like, maybe I could give this a shot. Maybe this is what I want to do. So I've been doing that ever since. And again, since I have that, it's kind of like a quote I heard from Jack Quaid recently about being a Nepo baby, quote unquote. And he's a second generation actor himself, and he had a good quote about that where it was like, I had doors open to me that other people didn't, and I had a head start. But like, it's my sentiment of my sentiment of, I want to like prove that I can actually walk through that door and like actually prove that I can do it. So that's been a driving force for me too. And also, I just like drawing. I kind of rediscovered that I really like doing this, so I'm gonna keep doing it. So, kind of my journey from there on.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I cycled through your drawings, and there's one that I wanted to wait to actually highlight because I've been waiting for an excuse to have somebody draw this character. So I pulled out this art from Nick's Instagram or Facebook or something, but we are looking at none other than the Trash Man.
Ah, yeah, man, Trash Man. He's like the champion in there. Yeah, I love It's Always Sunny. It's like probably my favorite show of all time. I think
Rumham.
from him.
Yeah,
my
if
favorite.
people are unaware, yeah, Danny DeVito's character from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia had this funny little wrestling trash man character, and he's just like, I'm the trash man.
For a ring, I start eating garbage and I throw trash all over the ring.
Yeah, so when I was going through your stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, this is being
Going
shown.
through his trash.
The
Yeah,
trash man.
I love
the
it.
Trash Man.
No,
Roddy Piper was in that episode too, like, which was crazy.
Mm.
I'll have to revisit that.
Yeah, it was a really funny episode. Of course, the entire show is great. I think it's like probably one of the best written television things out there. Like,
Lasted a
So,
long time.
yeah, it somehow managed to be funny for a very long time, and I find that to be very impressive. Because usually you have things that just go on and on and on, and they just aren't funny anymore. Like, you saw that with Simpsons. You saw that with SpongeBob, which is more, to like example I have. You see that with a lot of stuff. Family Guy, it just stops being funny. But this one kept being funny. I mean, there's seasons that are better than the other ones. I think the newest one was better than the last few they did personally. But I find that to be a testament of like how much they love that project and how much they want to keep going with it. That's something that I can't help but admire. That's authorship. That is artistry right there. That is something that, admiration is the best word I have for it.
totally.
Mhm.
I'm gonna finish off the pile of the horror comics here. Just gonna do some rapid fire of recent years. The Silver Coin. What was cool about this is that Michael Walsh, being the artist, he's the one that was the guiding force where he drew all the issues, but he had guest writers for each individual story, and it was all centered on this coin that was basically handed down from generation to generation into other people's hands and stuff. But it was kind of a cool thing of just saying, oh, what guest writer is going to be jumping in and writing stuff for Michael Walsh to draw. So that is really good. We talked about Robert Kirkman, but him and I think Paul Izazeta, Paul, they had Outcast. Outcast, really, really loved this. This is one of the things that was coming out of the success of The Walking Dead, which is Robert Kirkman doing some other series, coinciding with publishing the other books and stuff. And it's a very cool like exorcism type book, and had a very short-lived TV show that was very hard to find. And I saw the pilot episode for free. They put it up on a website. I don't know if it was part of like Showtime or like Cinemax or a different like. All I know is that it didn't have a wide platform, and for a comic book that I loved and a pilot episode that was so strong, I still have never seen the show. So I got to look to see if there's some Blu-rays on that. But yeah, if you're into like exorcism type stories, Outcast by Robert Kirkman and Paul Izazeta is pretty good. We've mentioned this person before, but Franco, I mentioned this as many times as I can mention because I love Dead Man Tells the Spooky Tales, a great collection of creators, and I have no attachment to Dead Man the character, but him being kind of the horror host of this story, and then bringing in a bunch of creators to tell original stories that, even though this is a DC Comics property, it is all very new reader friendly, where it has nothing to really do with rooted DC Comics history or anything. And
Has
yeah, go ahead.
question. Has that one been nominated for any awards? Because it should. It
It,
feels like it should have been.
yeah, it's I've said this to him before, and I recommend it to a lot of people because it's just such a good, like, kid friendly, still very spooky, cool collection. So
Yeah.
um,
I enjoyed the spooky books that DC put out when I was a kid, like House of Mystery. And they had I guess they used the host, was it Arcane or Arcane?
well,
Yeah.
Cain and Abel. Yeah.
was it House
They
of Mystery or House of Secrets, or were those two different things?
they're
Both. Yeah.
it was
They had
both.
both.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
'Cause
think
House
yeah,
of
they moved on to Swamp Thing. Those characters went into Swamp Thing. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's a good segue into the next one on the stack here. I think it was Troy that mentioned Bernie Wrightson, unless I forget if he mentioned him or not. But
They did.
Bernie Wrightson's a name that should be mentioned when we're talking about anything horror related. Swamp Thing with Len Wein and Bernie Wrightson, the original, what I think like 13 issues for this edition. Now, the Saga of the Swamp Thing, the Alan Moore stuff, gets a lot of the praise and the recognition and everything like that. While I own all of those personally, I love this original stuff here from Bernie and Len, and I just really dug those. And they have a newer
Nice.
Absolute edition that had come out. I have yet to unwrap it and dig into it again, but
Yeah. You did a really cool adaptation of Frankenstein too.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Bernie
Love-
did? Yeah.
Yeah, Bernie.
Yeah, that has the original art for something in Frankenstein just sold for like $1 million. It's like $1 per pen stroke.
It's weird. It's weird that Troy turned off his screen as soon as you mentioned that.
He owns it. He paid.
Just a couple more, and then so they just wrapped up a mini series with Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives, a sequel to the original movie. I happened to pick out the Jenny Frison cover here because once again she does no wrong when it comes to art and covers. But yeah, they're doing the Universal Monsters mini series. We've gotten a Dracula book. We've have just started a Frankenstein book. My issue of that will be showing up next week, but then they wrapped up the Creature from the Black Lagoon as well. So those are some fun, updated stories with the Universal Monsters. Previous guest on our show, Winston Gambro. We talked all about Haunted House, a Love Story, a 6 issue, basically an anthology, but they do have connective tissue with this house basically falling in love with the inhabitants. And Winston Gambro was our guest and talked all about that in the last episode. So these two episodes, I think, go hand in hand as far as talking about a lot of like independent comics and stuff like that. And so yeah. And then I also mentioned on that show too, Where Monsters Lie. Once again, Kyle Starks and Peter Kowalski. If you're looking about humor, somebody mentioned humor. This is still heavy in the gory and the horror and the violence and stuff, but it has a lot of comedy in it as well. So this is Where Monsters Lie, and there's a second volume that I think is coming out shortly at the time of this recording. So when it comes to horror comics, those are the ones there that I wanted to speak about. We have one more thing to talk about with Nick, but before we get to that, does anybody else have any other, whether it be questions or horror comics to name drop? Feel free to dive in now.
Um, I drew a pumpkin.
Oh yeah, man.
No, here's the news article. Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein cover art, $1.2 million.
Mm.
I guess I would bring up on the Swamp Thing vein that Scott Snyder's Swamp Thing was actually very creepy and scary.
Yeah,
Um,
52, I
his
think.
he did American Vampire also,
Oh yeah,
um, which
that
was
was good. Yeah.
also creepy and scary.
Yeah.
So Scott Snyder is a modern comic guy that's doing old-fashioned horror type stuff.
I forgot. I have a whole collection of a vampire series, Crimson.
Crimson. Okay.
Hmm.
Who's it by?
I'm trying to remember. Somebody well known.
Oh, is like a teenage vampire thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Humberto Ramos?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Humberto Ramos. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 That was one of those cliffhanger
Yeah,
cliffhanger publications.
yeah, that's right.
Now,
Yeah. Yeah, that I liked that. That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
Troy had mentioned American Vampire. Well, I asked some of our loyal fans their favorite horror comics, and Eric Wolfgang said American Vampire.
Yeah, that's a good one. I
Legit
did.
choice, man. Yeah.
And I'm intrigued by this one because I didn't know it was a thing, but Eric Marshall, who is the artist for Jungle Drama with Troy, there's a brand new Jungle Drama, which we'll see in the credits for the pre-order information and all that stuff for upcoming comic books. But Eric Marshall commented with Nosferatu Batman. Anyone read Nosferatu Batman?
No.
I looked
I've
up a
read
couple
the Batman X Dracula a while, but yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's some like like a Spanish translation type of thing going on, but I looked at some of the some whatever showed up on Google, and I was like, oh, this is intriguing. So I'm curious to see what that's about. But yeah, that kind of
Can I do a sidebar on Eric Marshall real quick?
please.
He he's kind of friends with John Bogdanove, you know, from like the Superman Death of Superman era, the artist, and he also did like he did I believe he did X Factor for a period of time.
Mhm.
He did Power Pack, but like as far as like what I think of as like legendary Superman artist, like he's in the top. And Eric is a friend of his,
Yeah.
and he drew a cover for Jungle Drama, and to see like a Superman legend drawing a character that I created was just like
Oh yeah.
I say I created. I created the initial Eric. Eric really reinvented the look of everything. So a character that Eric and I co-created.
Right.
But to see
Still counts.
Boggs draw that was just like I hope everybody buys that thing. It looks great.
And Eric Marshall is a big Superman fan. We talked about that at the Crimson Cowl Comic Club for round one of Jungle Drama. But yeah, people will be seeing those graphics. I think I had them up in the last episode because I think the news came out after we recorded, but while I was editing, so that people who follow our show do know about it. I also asked people just kind of fit with a Halloween theme and everything like that. Getting into the spooky season. Favorite candy. So while you guys come up with some answers, I am going to go through the responses here. Lavi, past guest on this show here. Lavi said sour watermelons.
Legit choice.
They're good. They're pretty
What
good.
is
They're
that?
pretty good.
Those just like a Jolly Rancher gummy type of thing or something?
It's
Or?
made by Sour Patch Kids. If
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the right thing, they look like little watermelon wedges, but they're sour.
Fantastic choice.
Speaking of sour, my choice is Sour Patch Kids.
Ooh, also a legit choice.
I used to eat those until I would get blisters on my tongue.
Me too. Me too. Me too.
Yeah, you ever had those? Yeah, like I got those too. You ever had warheads before?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when again, this speaks to like how when I was a kid there's a lot of dumb stuff happening, but there's like a warheads challenge where people just they would do that until like their tongue was just almost gone. It was gnarly, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, until their body and head resembled the packaging of the explosion and stuff.
Pretty much, yeah.
The Ghost Energy drink has 2 Warheads flavors.
Are they any good?
Okay.
They are delicious, but I can't have them in the morning. Otherwise, I get really bad heartburn because I'm old.
Fair enough.
I don't think I've ever had heartburn.
What?
They don't have heartburn in Canada. Everybody knows
Yeah,
that.
it's an American thing.
Yeah, I was about to say I got it. Yeah.
Eric Wolfgang said peanut M&Ms, which coincidentally I did buy today before I saw him reply. So peanut M&Ms. Hot Wing of Justice, Brian Lynch. He said the classic Reese's peanut butter cups, and then I'll give the honorable mention to the specific Reese's pumpkins because you get more of the peanut butter when they come out in like the trees and the Easter eggs and the pumpkin forms of Reese's cups. So, my brother Adam, latchstacks.com, he says, and I love this candy bar as well. Whatchamacallit? You don't find it as much anymore, but when you do, oh, it's a good time.
Did you ever have its lesser known friend Thingamajig?
Thingamajig, yep. I remember seeing that once and I had to be like, all right, is this like a Aldi knockoff brand or something? But yeah. I think I've had it once, but I don't remember.
Is this the Aldi version of that Aldi or candy? Aldi version.
And then we had a reply from, I don't know if maybe D. Brad knows this person, but Jamie Gibson replied. And this maybe it's a Canada thing. I'm very interested. It's not even joking this time. Sour Keys.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Canada thing, but yeah, it looks like a key, except it's
definitely a Canada thing.
Well, I'll draw it and hopefully it doesn't look obscene. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I'll just cut to Roger's face. Wait, I'll go to a different obscene thing. Oh, okay.
So that's and it's covered in sour, but it's like not soft like a Sour Patch Kid. It's hard to chew.
Rock hard.
Yeah,
and then it also doubles as a skeleton key. So if you can't get up to your attic and stuff and find out if there's a little miniature model of your town and a little possessed demon creature guy, undead guy living like in a cemetery in there, you can just use a sour key to get into that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Canada, I tell you. So we've said some answers. Candy, I'm a big Snickers fan. I love Snickers.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's, while I love Reese's peanut butter cups and whatchamacallits and everything, but if I'm looking at a candy bar, so excited with the Snickers. I feel I could eat that as a meal. So hungry, why wait? And anybody else say their answers? Or we get on the candy front?
Abba-Zabbas are delicious.
What?
Abba-Zaba.
Abba-Zaba.
It's white taffy with a creamy peanut butter filling.
I like their music.
Oh, I've seen a prison recipe of one of those.
Yeah, they were big in the movie
what?
Half Baked. They made a big appearance.
Something about prison?
Yeah.
Say that again, Nick.
There's this YouTuber guy I follow. He does these things called prison recipes. They look terrible, by the way. But he made Abba-Zabbas out of coffee creamer, water, and peanut butter. And I don't know, those videos fascinate me because they're just making stuff out of
I never heard of
literally
that.
limited stuff. Yeah.
Matt likes prison candy. Whoa,
My favorite. Dude, that's like remember when you were a kid and you would be really disappointed because you would get those like peanut butter taffy things that were in black and orange paper?
Oh yeah.
Turns out that those are delicious.
I was about to say I was not disappointed with those. What are they called? Ant.
They don't have a name. They literally
they're just those Halloween
they
candies.
just are.
Disappointment.
Yeah.
Now going back to
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, totally.
Going back to prison recipes. Now imagine if prisoners in Canada had access to sour keys. Do you think they,
Yeah. I'm wondering if they have any candy in prison made out of cigarette ash. Like, I'm trying to think of what kind of things they could have to
Do
make.
they have prison in Canada?
I think it's kind of
Send everybody up north to the.
They're also
I think it's
friendly up there.
very similar to like the Minnesota Nice type people. Like you say, you shouldn't have done that, and then they're like, sorry, and then they're reformed.
Yeah, I've heard that when you bump
Ready
into
to go.
somebody, they apologize to you.
We're all trying to say our jokes. This episode's going to be like 5 minutes, I think. I think most of
Here's our guest, Nick, and well, we'll see you guys later.
You had a part in Zombie Cat. This is the last little as we bring this train into the station. Can you tell us a little bit about Zombie Cat? All I know is that this is a fun story about some people looking for his soul, basically.
Yeah. So Zombie Cat is, well, we talked about a solo Zombie Cat for a while, and essentially it's his quest for his soul, the Soul Quest, if you will, which is like the name of the sub-series. And it's these demons that notice that they're missing his soul, and it's his quest to find it, or else he dies. Like for real, you know? So, oh, whoa, is that a zombie cat over there? What? That's cool.
Yeah.
I did one once.
Yeah. So, you know, it's that story of him trying to find his soul and mostly failing to get it, but maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Even though I do, considering I wrote it.
Yeah, and these I'm sure are available in many quantities too, along with the other comics related titles.
Got basketball in it too.
Oh yeah,
the
look at
basketball,
that.
he's balling, yeah. Yeah, back cover is pretty interesting too, if I do say so myself.
The
Can't
back.
go wrong with that.
Oh yeah, yes, because we are looking at Abby and Ash by Nick here. Look at this.
Oh, here we go.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
I haven't seen this. Flip through a couple pages here. Yeah.
All right,
Don't give away the ending.
I think this came out. Yeah, because I kind of started. I'm about halfway through, maybe. Yeah, I won't show that part. I'll concentrate from here. The maybe came out maybe earlier this year, I think. Maybe late last year, I forget.
Yeah, somewhere about there. Yeah.
Because I think this was
Nick or-
available through some of the NXT Kickstarter where you can add on some of these issues and stuff like that.
Are you doing all of the artwork on this, Nick, or just the writing?
I mostly do the writing on it, but I have a few plans for a few things in regards to that. So, you know. And this one I can say will have issue 2 and maybe more. So
There you go.
look forward to that.
Cool.
New stuff coming the way of in forms of that Zombie Cat book. So
Cool.
check it out. Keep your eye out for it.
So Nick, what's like the dream character to work with? Is it a character of your own? Is it a character that pre-exists?
I have way too many answers for that. I have to narrow it down, I guess. So, in terms of ones that are immediately out there, Batman, duh. Batman's always like a dream. Superman is one I want to do, even though I wouldn't seem like the Superman guy. I feel like that would be really cool to write him, especially since there's a history with Franco doing that. So I feel like that would be cool to also etch my name into that as well. Spider-Man is one. Or to it as well. I also want to do some like really weird characters too. Like I want to do a Snowflame one shot. Like I have an idea for a Snowflame one shot, and I want to do it. Like because I think it would just be absolutely hilarious. Because ever since I knew of his origin, I'm not going to say what his powers are on this podcast. If you want to know him, look him up. It's hilarious, I promise. But yeah, no, I saw that concept. I'm like, I want to do Snowflame, 100%. If anyone in DC is out there listening,
Which they probably are.
All of them are. They all get together. They're like, hey, everybody stop making comics. There's a new Cartoonist by Night.
let this weird kid do Snowflame. In terms of ones that are personal to me, I've had this one since I was 16, and I've still been working on, and it's in personal development hell because I keep on wanting to do stuff for it and then I keep getting sidetracked. But I think I'm in a spot where I could possibly start releasing stuff maybe later this year. Maybe.
Cool.
I don't know. I'm not releasing any dates on stuff because I cannot commit to
Exclusive.
one on that. So
Cool.
yeah. Hmm.
All right, so we are going to encourage people to check out Nick and follow him online. We're going to be checking out Zombie Cat. We're going to be checking out Super Fun all together, Cactus and Liz, and crossing the fingers that maybe we'll get some more of that stuff. We're going to be checking out LXT, the collaboration tabletop game with pros and stories and all of this fun stuff here that Nick has worked on. If people wanted to follow you online, where would they go?
They would go pretty much everywhere, really. So, Instagram is where I post a lot of my artwork, including cross posts from TikTok, which you can follow me on. Help me grow my TikTok because if I could get TikTok payments for art, that would be absolutely hilarious if that happens. So I will. Future Anthony, I guess, can link all my socials if he wants. Maybe is he? I sure.
I'll put that stuff in
Um,
text and then it'll be in the show notes as well. So
Fantastic. TikTok, I'm on DeviantArt as well. I recently opened up a Tumblr. They really like that Gambit piece. I wonder why. And um, obviously there's Facebook under my mostly government name as well. So you can follow me on there. And
Your government name, Nick?
yeah, Nick Aureliani, even though it's not my full name on there. Yeah.
That's
And
funny.
yeah. And
Don't
that's
you
it.
dare call me by my government name.
And then yeah, those are all my socials you could get me on. So
That's
yes,
a lot.
indeed.
cool. And we're going to do a final round of checking out our art. So if you want to jump to your share screen one final time to see what progress you made.
Oh
And
heck yeah.
during the time of this editing, Nick, I'll give you a reminder, but whatever stage you get this finished by the upcoming Thursday or so, we'll put that in the show in the credits as well.
Oh heck yeah, man.
Yep.
So let me get started on that. I at least did like the two characters, Fury and our slug friend, so to speak. And let's see here.
Guest star up in the screen there.
Yes, star. Huh, 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 huh,
And
Email
yeah,
for
there it is so far. If
Beautiful.
it syncs up, which is
almost there.
There we go.
Ooh,
Love
Oh, nice.
Great.
yeah,
yes
still
indeed. I still want to do the
Very nice.
backgrounds, but in due time, I guess.
in the backgrounds, you can finish up those Tim Burton cinnamon rolls to get that full order I wanted. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
Ah, Tim Burton cinnamon rolls. I get it. Okay, got it. Took a while.
90 minutes later.
Don't
Welcome to the show, D. Brad. How's it going?
forget I'm 3 hours behind, or 2 hours behind, or 3 hours behind you guys, right?
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of editing goes because of the time difference. It's just it takes a lot to like sync all of these audios together and everything. So
Humor actually travels at about the same speed as like a train. So like it floats back to him.
Yeah,
He gets there.
I get there. All right.
cool. So
Did I cut out for a second?
thank you, Nick, for showing that off there.
Oh, yeah,
Here
of course.
is, I'm gonna do some details yet, but this is where I'm at with my half skeleton and half Sabrina cloaked Sabrina Spellman. So
Ooh.
that's where I stop there. We have D. Brad finishing up Harry from Harry and the Hendersons. Well, the
Maybe Frankie and the Frankensteins.
awesome. Yeah, I love that.
Every time I watch you draw, D. Brad, I think, why is there not some sort of a comic strip or comic book or something? Why is there nothing? Let's make something out there. You're so good.
I mean, yeah. I mean, stuff's balling, man.
All right, I'll do
Well,
it.
he had that one job and then didn't want to do it anymore.
Well, I know
Yeah,
he's doing like
but I like to admit that.
he's doing important work right now. Okay. Good
man.
people kind of work, but like still.
I think I'm probably at the point now where I'm ready to do it. I took a kind of like a year or a bit just to learn how to draw on and use my digital program, and I'm very comfortable with it now. But one thing I'm gonna need, and I'll probably ask you guys that, do you have? I know that you have Clip Studio Paint, but I just need some help getting the first page started. I'm not sure how to do the setup and all that in the program.
Oh, okay. Hit me up. I'm
What-
an expert.
All right, I will.
You mean like the technical aspect of it?
Yeah,
Like,
like
have
that.
panels?
Yeah,
Hit
like
Rogers up. He's an expert.
yeah,
page setup, bleed, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
yeah.
I
And I,
got you.
and I like the old coloring way you do it, like the looks like an old comic.
Oh
What's
yeah.
it gonna be? What's it
The
gonna be,
dots.
Deeper? Can you
Well-
say or?
I'll probably do the funny one first.
One with that Uncle, what's his name? Like Uncle Pickles or something? What was that guy's name?
I like it.
Dr. Pickles or what was
Uncle
that one guy?
Pickles.
I don't remember any Uncle Pickles, but I think I'll steal that.
There's some.
Wasn't there a? I
I
thought
want to get
it,
this answer now. So
Uncle
for
Uncle,
sure it had to be a duck.
a duck will probably appear. Yeah, for sure.
you drew the guy I'm thinking about in a
Uncle
past
Duckling.
episode. Oh, Loops. That's who it is. I don't know why the uncle stuff came.
Yeah, the guy who's got big pants with giant loops. Yeah, they're gonna make bigger loops.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, he'll be in it.
I don't know. I thought it was Uncle Pickles, but yeah, it's Loops.
I mean, Uncle Pickles is a good name for that guy.
I'm gonna
He
get
definitely looks like an
Uncle Pickles. You heard it here first, folks. So Anthony came up with the name, and then so I'm gonna design a guy who's actually a talking pickle now.
There we go.
Nice.
Heck yeah.
Uncle Pickles.
Matt Rodgers. We're looking at. I don't know what we're looking at now. We're zoomed in
Sorry.
to all
Dots.
of. Oh, there we
Dots.
go.
There's my Jason.
Yeah, I thought that was a pumpkin. I thought you were drawing a.
Oh, looks cool, man.
Very awesome.
He's
Save
all
it.
done.
Save it.
Oh, it is saved.
Yes. And then Troy, the another look at the another look at the two finished pieces there with the Jughead the Hunger there with Jughead Jones as a
Scary.
werewolf.
That's scary.
I said I was gonna stop at just the head, but I added a body anyway. And
cool.
then sticking with the werewolf theme, Werewolf by Night with the Wallace and Gromit mouth.
Oh, that's a great mouth.
Pretty cool.
That,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a mouth that would eat lots of cheese. Wensleydale cheese.
So yes,
Cheap.
once again, check out everything that we just talked about with Nick, with all those books that we showed off. We are looking at Slaughter Otter, which is now available in comic shops and keenspotshop.com. Matt Rodgers, Matt Fife, a brand new book. Character spinning out of Happy Astronaut, buying time to maybe he's grabbing a physical copy or two. Mine are showing up in a couple days. Here we are. Slaughter Otter is out there.
One.
Ooh.
We got
Hey,
number two.
anybody got the steelbook version?
Yeah, it's right here.
Oh, the steelbook?
It's a metal cover.
Whoa.
Metal cover. Okay.
It
Mine
only
shows
costs
up.
$100.
Can you show us this metal cover?
Is that right here?
Is it hard metal? Is it floppy metal?
Is
So it is rock hard metal.
Wow.
That's the cover.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's
Exactly.
weird, man.
It's just
Is it-
like
That's cool.
pasted onto the regular cover.
Oh.
But yeah,
$100
it's pretty
paste.
sweet.
It's good paste, though.
If you get me or get yourself one, I get a crap load of money. So everybody should buy one of these.
Well, I have mine showing up on Tuesday, I think. So
One of these. Ooh, look at the foil. It's only the logo. Oh,
Oh.
Oh,
So yes,
whoa, oh, whoa,
and, yep.
whoa.
Whoa.
And then Troy, if you want to give a shout out to the upcoming issue of Jungle Drama and what we
Yep.
expect.
Eric Marshall and Danny Harrell took a plot that I wrote and they fleshed it out into a really good, really fun comic. Um, and it should be coming out soon. It's available for pre-order from your local comic shops right now. So I really didn't have a whole lot other than just the plot involved in this one, but I did do a cover. So if you buy my cover, all your friends will think that you are cool. So you should definitely everybody go out and just cave to that peer pressure and buy my cover. Ah, there's a Miss Slaughter Otter cover. I stole that from Casada and Palmiotti,
Cover B. And then we got Jay Hammond's cover.
which
Fun.
is very, very cool.
We got a bunch of them. Bunch of covers.
Yes. And there's a blank cover so you can draw your own.
Yeah. Show what you drew on already.
I don't have one. I gave it to a comic shop.
Oh, you did? Okay.
That picture will be up here in post though, because I remember
Oh.
seeing.
I'm very sorry to be a disappointment.
I thought that you had it, but maybe it was a picture you showed.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
You can pretend that it's on there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Dude, Future Anthony, can you do the Photoshop there?
That's
Yeah.
a lot. I'll just put the image across everything, so I'm not going to go to that level of.
Nice.
And then, since this is the first episode of outside of the promotion for it, but I can also say you can check out my comic book, Rice Christopher, the Wednesday afternoon special, which is available now. We had our debut at Milwaukee MightyCon. Very happy with the result. Been filling orders for family and friends and local people here. I've shipped out a couple copies as well. And if you would like your very own copy about a comic book that takes place in this universe about a crispy rice man who goes on adventures, then you can go ahead and order that now. latchkeykid@gmail.com. That address is up here as well. latchkeykid@gmail.com to get your copy today. And at the time of this recording, tomorrow morning, Oh Yeah Comics in beautiful downtown Skokie will be the first comic book store to have my first ever comic book. I've been told to bring some copies with me, so I'm very excited that Oh Yeah Comics will be the exclusive shop, at least for the debut of it here. So that is Rice Christopher.
You're going there?
I will be there because they are hosting Daniel Warren Johnson for a signing. So I'm going down to help with the signing, deliver some Rice Christopher goodness, and hang out with Joe and everybody else, and hopefully see Brian Lynch. I told Lavi that I was going, and she was tempted because I'm like, I'm going to be there, Rice Christopher too. So we'll see if Lavi makes any guest appearance. And seeing all the other friends in beautiful downtown Skokie, very excited. So, but this was a great episode. This was fun. I love this topic.
Excellent.
I have one thing I forgot. I got it.
There we go.
It's launching soon. You can get notified on the Kickstarter, but I'm part of this anthology called Pots and Panels. It's part cookbook, part comic book. So they have a bunch of creators that are getting together, and everybody submitted a story and then a recipe. And my story is done. It's a little 8-pager, and I have my recipe in there. But you got all kinds of cool people. You got Tim Seeley, you got Phil Hester, you got Ron Mars, all kinds of people. You can go to I think it's potsandpanels.com is like the website for it, and then you can go to Kickstarter and you can be notified when it launches. So
And that also has the debut story from Brad and Lisa Gullickson from the Comic Book Couples Counseling podcast with their first ever written comic book story with an awesome artist. They've been showing off some stuff and yeah, so that's a cool collection of people. I'm excited to check out what that has to offer. Cool. Thank you, Nick. Nick,
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. So please follow Nick online and check out his work, follow his art, and it was a pleasure having you on the show and talking about horror comics.
Pleasure's all mine.
Here we go.
Nick, you're a good dude. Feels like you belong here, buddy.
Hey,
Thank you for
thanks.
coming.
Of
That
course.
is that is going to do it for another episode of Cartoonist by Night, and that episode was to die for. Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, got it. Can't get the thing closed.
Godzilla, 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 and Godzuki.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was crossing my eyes.
In a world with so many stories, from movies to television, and of course, comic books, comes a story that's only available in one of the three mediums I listed earlier. What you are about to see in this trailer is a character debut like you've never seen before. And now, we are just buying dramatic time by repeating the same shots that you just got done watching. We are truly very sorry about that. And now, introducing Rice Christopher!